Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome guys. Today we're going to be talking about Ibn Taymiyyah's Aristotelian space move. Okay, in Aqidah. I'm going to show you what this is all about. I just got this new camera, so I'm just testing it out. This will be the first video I'll post, so I'm going to keep it short. I'm just testing out the camera, but this idea is something I noticed. So, remember Aqidah Tahawiyya, which the Salafis claim to believe in. Okay, even though some of them have seen that it's really inconsistent to believe in the Aqidah Tahawiyya. It doesn't support your position. But anyway, let's keep going. So the Asharis, Imam al-Razi, he wrote a book about he wrote a book, Taxis at, something like that, Taxis at Taldis or something like that. And Ibn Taymiyyah, he wrote a work against it called Bayan Talbis al-Jahmiyyah. Okay, now on the issue of space and time here, that's what I focus on. Let me show you something interesting here. Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah's move on describing space was to say that Imam al-Razi's notion of space itself is wrong. Okay, listen to this. He's saying that Imam al-Razi's notion of space is wrong because space is not something that exists. It's not something we are inside. So we are not inside space, we are space. Okay, so for instance, this is my phone. It's not like it's occupying some kind of thing called space. No, the phone itself is what is space itself. Do you understand that? So that was his move. His move is to say that because Imam al-Razi was saying that God cannot have spatial extension. But he made his argument in the sense that God will be enclosed in the 6 directions. لا تحويه جهة الست كسائر المبتدعات that you find in Aqidah Tahawiyya, right? The point is, let me show you something very radical here. Listen to this, guys. The argument of Imam al-Tahawi in that Aqidah is that we creatures, we are enclosed in 6 directions. The 6 directions encompass us, or something like that. We are in space, okay? So, from Ibn Taymiyyah, what we are getting here is that we are not in space. We are space ourselves. So, therefore, God cannot be in space. So his move is to say God is not in space because space is not something you are in. You are space. There's nothing beyond space. There's no void space. That was his argument. There's no void space. Okay, so let me just read it here. So void space does not exist. This is an Aristotelian notion of space. Okay. So now the problem is this. It is not just God. It's not just God that is, not in space. Even creatures. Everybody is not enclosed by 6 directions. Do you understand what that means? Is that for any special extension is not inside the 6 directions. So, but to me, that is missing the point. The point of Imam al-Tahawi is to say that creatures have these 6 directions in some way or other. They have these 6 directions, whether they are enclosed in it or they have it. But this Aristotelian move of explaining space as extension of the object itself, to me, all it does is that everything will just not be in space anymore, and the argument cannot be made anymore. Imam al-Tahawi's argument will become redundant, in my own opinion, because if his argument is about the 6 directions, and now we know that what his own argument is that Ibn Taymiyyah, that the objects themselves, they are not in the 6 directions. They are the 6 directions. We will just say, okay, fine. If the creatures are like that, then God is not like that. Do you see the problem with changing your view of space to this kind of other type of space? It doesn't matter. What matters to me is that you have a spatial extension. And that was what they were trying to avoid. That these creatures, they are spatially extended. And they have a limit. They have a had. They were saying God does not have a had. It doesn't have these 6 directions or spatial extension. That was the argument. If you now say that we are not in space, enclosed, so he was trying to avoid the language of enclosed, being enclosed in space or being enclosed in time. So he has a relative notion of space and time. So time is not something that we're in. We are changing through time. And space is not something we are in. We are space itself. That was his argument. But to me, this sort of move is missing the point. The point is that we are trying to distinguish God from creatures. And if we have spatial extension, and God also has spatial extension, What is the point of the tashbih that we're trying to avoid there? If all of us, we have spatial extension. And for time too, they are trying to avoid that God, since we are changing through time, we don't want God to be changing through time. That was the Ashari move. That's what they were trying to do. So to me, I think this Aristotelian space move, it doesn't work. And that's why I'm making this video. And I'm also testing out my camera. So what do you guys think about this position? Do you find it interesting that they made this space move, or we can rephrase our argument to address this position also? And before this video ends, let me tell you the most fundamental issue here. What we are arguing about is the statement that spatial extension, is it a bad thing or a good thing? That's the essence of the argument here. Spatial extension, is it something that can be ascribed to God or not? The Ashari say no. The Salafis or the Ibn Taymiya people, they say yes. Where is this coming from? They have a notion that anything that is not extended in space, anything that doesn't have a size, a spatial extension, it doesn't exist. So is it that you have spatial extension or you don't exist? We are saying spatial extension is attribute of creatures. God does not need it to exist. They will now say, that means you are saying God doesn't exist, but we don't say that. God exists without spatial extension. This is where we have two different ontologies. We have two different ways of thinking. They see things as this binary thing between extension, spatial extension, or nothingness. We see spatial extension, which is for creatures, immaterial existence, non-spatial existence, which is for God, and is not abstract. We are not talking about some abstract mental stuff. No, it's not mental, it's not abstract. It doesn't have spatial extension, and it exists. Because we don't know how. We don't know the how. Do you see? So this is our presupposition, both of us. I'm showing you now. They believe spatial extension is absolutely necessary for existence. We will believe it's not absolutely necessary for existence. You choose. Choose which one do you think is correct. And that's what people have done. Some people believe they follow the Salafis, and the other people say, no, God is beyond space and time. And the same argument can be made with time also, which I can make another video for this. I think the video has already gone on for long enough. So see you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.